guys, welcome to the channel. Today we are flying with Turkish Airlines 777-300 from Amsterdam to Istanbul in business class. And it's a rather special flight, because I'm the only one in the business class cabin. Keep watching to see how that will work out. Also, I'm checking out this new self-driving wheelchair, which will bring you to the gate. And of course, we will do a lounge review. Welcome to the Frequent Business Traveler channel. Here we are at the Aspire Lounge at Schiphol Airport. To the left is a new one-wheel lounge, which I already checked out when I flew business class with Qatar Airlines to Vietnam. Click on the link in the top right hand corner for a review of that flight. The one-wheel lounge had some excellent cappuccino served by a real barista. Let me see what the Aspire Lounge has to offer. The Aspire Lounge is a lot bigger than a one-wheel lounge, but size isn't everything. For sure, it's also a lot busier. In fact, it's pretty hard finding an empty seat. And what's that little fenced-off area in the back of the lounge? Reserved for Singapore Airlines. Of course, if you're traveling Singapore Airlines business class, you don't want to mix with the other Star Alliance business class riff-raff. At least, we have all the same excellent view over the tarmac. Talking about excellent, let's check out the cappuccino. Time for a cappuccino lounge review. Unfortunately, no barista in this lounge, in contrary to the one-wheel lounge, but a self-service coffee machine. But like the coffee machine in the KLM Schengen Lounge here in Schiphol, also this machine produces a pretty decent cappuccino, a 7.0. Time to leave this crowded lounge and head to the gate. And there she is, the 777-300 from Turkish Airlines, next to the 777-300 from Emirates I flew a few weeks ago. And this is something new I haven't seen before. A self-driving wheelchair. Scan your boarding pass and it will bring you to the correct gate, with in the back some space for luggage. Of course, it's now only for people who have difficulty walking, but I wouldn't be surprised if in 10 years we all be driven around in these self-driving wheelchairs. For now, let's enjoy our little walking exercise and continue to the gate. Time to board the plane, and when a flight attendant sees my camera, he wants me to shut it off. And he's really checking it's shut off, because no filming allowed. That gives us time to discuss the seat map of this 777-300. On the 777-300 planes, Turkish Airlines still uses an old business class product with a 2-3-2 configuration. The 777 has 7 rows of business class, 4 rows in the cabin up front and 3 rows in the cabin just before economy class. Turkish Airlines doesn't have premium economy and also doesn't have any future plans installing premium economy in their planes. For some reason I walked into the front cabin, but my seat is actually in the other business class cabin, so I need to make a U-turn here. What's immediately clear when you're entering the business class cabin is that it looks pretty outdated. But second, that it's quite open and there's also quite some space between the rows. and being so open also means you don't have to deal with a tiny footrest area. There isn't really a great deal of privacy, but for this flight that won't really be an issue. Just before takeoff, the crew is offering some juice, which I need because the plane will take off with an hour delay because of the busy European airspace. After doors are closing, I'm looking around and I cannot believe it. I'm the only one in this business class cabin. 3 rows of business class, and I'm really alone. Later I will find out that there are actually a handful of people in the first cabin of business class, but the cabin I'm in is completely empty except for myself. A new experience. I did fly once Air France first class all alone, but that was just 1 row with 4 seats, and that was awesome to be alone. But being the only one in a 3-row business class cabin with 21 seats is pretty weird. Anyway, there will be some advantage to this. Finally leave the gate, I'm spotting this cool LA 2028 Olympic Games livery on this Delta plane. Does it seem a bit too early for that? What isn't too early is to subscribe to the channel. Come on guys, hit that subscribe button and help out the channel. Try out the entertainment system. It comes with a fancy remote, but the technology of the remote doesn't seem to match with the old technology of the screens. At least in my case, the screen didn't really respond and in fact it was hanging. Luckily though, I've got 20 other seats I could try, and the seat next to me actually had a working system. Screens aren't that great though, with a poor resolution and a relatively small 15.4 inch screen. Now, I didn't talk yet about what I paid for this ticket, and I paid roughly the same amount for this business class ticket as I would have paid for a basic economy class ticket. I have a separate video on that, going step by step through the process of how I booked this specific ticket, and I have a link on that one at the end of this video. One other thing I could try out in one of the other 20 seats is to try out the lie flat function of the seat. Now the seat transforms into a 6'4" lie flat seat, and with a seat width of 21 inch, that's not too bad. And again, plenty of space for your feet. Time for the meal service. A menu is provided with a choice of 3 entrees. I'm selecting the lamb. I was not a fan of the appetizer, but the entree is pretty good and I like the flan for dessert. And I need to admit, for a flight for less than 3 hours, this isn't bad. And while we're approaching the airport of Istanbul, it's time for a conclusion. Prior to this flight, I never flew Turkish Airlines. After this flight, I've got a connecting flight to Muscat, Oman, and I will release a separate video on that one, including an impression of the new Istanbul airport and a Turkish Airlines business class lounge. This specific flight didn't disappoint. Of course, being completely alone in a business class cabin with 20 empty seats around me was a bit weird. And despite the old business class configuration and seats, it was a very comfortable flight. Service was good and the meals were okay. I certainly wouldn't mind flying Turkish Airlines business class again, but then I really would like to try out their new A350 business class. And that doesn't even need to be in a completely empty cabin. Guys, please review my link where you can see how I booked this flight for the price of an economy class ticket. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. And a brand new terminal but still no available gate to go to? Amazing.